Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Colin Burke, Senior Health Specialist at Art Jetter & Company, and welcome to today's webinar. As a lot of you know, Medicare is a topic that affects millions across the nation. So knowing the ins and outs of one of the largest lines of insurance is beneficial for any agent. In a minute, I will be handing it off to Melissa and Courtney. But before we proceed, I would like to highlight that Art Jetter & Company offers free E&O insurance for any carriers that our agents get contracted with Art Jetter. One of the many benefits of working alongside your friends at Art Jetter & Company. If you have any questions on our E&O insurance or any other benefits of working with Art Jetter, please contact your senior health specialist or call 800-228-0008. Again, that's 800-228-0008 and ask for a senior health specialist. If anyone has any questions during this webinar, we encourage you to use the questions box. From there, we will periodically stop to answer any questions that come in. So without further ado, let's get this webinar started, and thank you for your business.
Thank you so much, Colin. I appreciate you having us on to talk with the agents, especially about this topic. This is something very near and dear to my heart and ours at Humana, especially in the last, I would say probably around year or so, we've really changed our own methodology in terms of how we think of Medicare Advantage or Medicare Supplement or what makes sense for any given consumer. And so our goal for this presentation is we're going to highlight the pros and cons of both. We're going to talk about some common objections for both Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement, because I don't want you to think of it being a versus or they're competing against each other, because they aren't. And there's no one right option. It should be whatever person is sitting in front of you dictates the path that you go. So before I get into the objections, I should probably introduce myself. I'm Courtney Stowe. I've been with Humana for almost 11 years now. I was an agent before I moved into this broker manager role, so I know very well what kinds of conversations a member can be privy to, or what kind of biases or objections they may have, and how to work through those to help them decide what's the right fit. We're going to talk Med Advantage and Med Sup and how to position them. You're going to hear me kind of favoring one, and then just wait a second, because I'm going to probably switch over to favor the other, because I'm going to try to make the case for both. Before I get into that, let's talk a little bit about the opportunity in Medicare. So over the last 7 years, we have seen a pretty dramatic shift. So I'm going to show you some changes in the research that has happened on what consumers who are aging in are choosing. So this first slide here shows that it was a pretty even split. This is from the 2018 DEFT Research Agent study, saying this is, okay, you're turning 65, what are you more likely to choose? And it was 45% of people at the time were going to lean towards the Medicare Supplement, 42% Medicare Advantage. And if you see people sitting on original Medicare, a lot of reasons they may do that. It could be that they're a veteran and they just use original Medicare. Maybe they were never educated on the options, so they just stuck with original Medicare. And I actually have some family members that did that, much to their detriment, unfortunately. Or maybe they're still working and they took Medicare, but they're continuing on with group coverage. So lots of reasons why people might stay on original Medicare. But you can see on over the next two slides that things have shifted a little bit. So in the 2021 Medicare Agent study, the pendulum swung a little bit towards Medicare Advantage, 45% instead of 36%. And that even more so in the next year. So more people, as they age in, are choosing Medicare Advantage. Now, there's quite a lot of reasons for that. Of course, we know that plans are very competitive. There's also a lot of aggressive marketing, so people are more educated on things than they have been in the past. And there's also a lot of agent bias. We'll see that out there too. Even though that's true, even though the agent study has swung more towards Medicare Advantage, there are now more people than ever aging into Medicare. You can see on this slide, and I'm going kind of fast here, just talking you through the opportunity. I'll slow down, I promise. But the baby boomer generation peaks aging in next year. And so we're looking at like 13 to 14,000 people turning 65 every day in the country. So even though the tide has seemed to shift towards Medicare Advantage, there's still a lot of people who are going to be choosing Medicare Supplement. And so as agents, the most important thing that we can do is to be that balanced educator, and not just a balanced educator, but somebody who is going to sit down and strategize with their agents. Apart from the agent study, we've done some other research. So I wanted to talk about this point a little bit. Historically, there were a lot of times where an agent would defer strictly to Medicare Supplement. There's even some agents who only sell Medicare Supplement and don't even get certified for Part D. And that's certainly an option to do that. I don't recommend it for this reason. We did some research on people who switched from Medicare Supplement to Medicare Advantage and found that in a lot of cases, people were very upset that they were not properly educated on both of their options. So when it came time to make the switch to Medicare Advantage, because they were now first learning about it, they didn't go back to that agent who wrote them the Med Supp. They switched because they didn't feel like they were told everything. So if you take nothing away from this, but please make sure that you are challenging your own biases and challenging your own mind on what is the best fit for someone, because it's really up to them. So bottom line with that stuff, whether that you're going Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, sometimes you're going to feel that somebody wants to lean a certain direction. They might walk in the door and say, I know what I want. I'm going to pick this. My friend Bob has it. I'm going with this option. I think it's still really important to push past that and make sure that you are doing your full due diligence to educate them on all of their choices so that they are truly making the choice that's the best fit for them and not what their friend Bob has to say. So let's start with discussing some common objections that Medicare Advantage has. So I'm gonna do a lot of this is why you should pick Medicare Advantage. Remember that I said just hang tight because we're gonna talk about Medicare Supplement here in just a minute, and Melissa's gonna do a much better job of advocating for Medicare Supplement than I'm gonna do. So just hang tight for that. So I'm gonna start by some of the common things that you might sit down with somebody and they might say. So with Medicare Advantage, they might say, oh, I can't pay that max out of pocket. That's too expensive. Well, something we know is that only about 2 to 3% of people ever actually do hit that max out of pocket. And that's because plans, Medicare Advantage plans, have copays. It's not the sky's the limit with how much any given thing costs. So those copays will limit those financial pressures, and that's why only 2 to 3% of people ever do have to pay that much. A lot of areas, max out of pockets are very, very low, and even more so than they had been in years past because of the competitive nature of a Medicare Supplement. The next very common is, oh, I don't want to network. I want to go wherever I want to go. Completely valid argument. If you want to be able to go to any doctor who accepts Medicare, totally understand. However, networks are not the restrictive thing that they maybe once were. You know, a lot of people are familiar in their employee coverage where they have an HMO, and that employer HMO has one doctor's office that they can see. That's just not the case anymore. I can only speak specifically to Humana, but most carriers have national networks these days. Humana's PPO network is national. It also includes incredible places like Mayo Clinic, who in Minnesota on the PPO network. More than half of Humana's HMOs are also on a national network and are very, very inclusive. Now, that's a good argument, but also you troubleshoot this a little more with the person you're talking to. Are they already seeing doctors who are in the network? Well, then they're not trapped, because those are the doctors they want to see. Are they a snowbird and want to be able to see a cardiologist where they live? Well, they probably can do that. Are the hospital systems that they utilize normally part of the plan's network? Well, then that's not really so much of a concern, as long as you're using these doctors, which most people are doctoring where they live. Usually only if, and not all the time, of course, but in most occasions, if somebody is using a doctor outside of their hometown or where they live, a lot of that time it's an emergency. And emergencies are covered on Medicare Advantage plans anywhere in the world. Yes, outside of the country, you might have to pay first and then get reimbursed. But within the United States, anywhere you go, that emergency coverage is universal. So we certainly don't want people to have to use it in emergency, but it's not as restrictive as some people think. Another common one is MA has really high copays. Some things might be, but most things that people are using on a regular basis, primary care physician is usually $0 to $5. Specialist is anywhere from $25 to $50. I pay more than that. The things that can get higher are things like inpatient hospital stays, which usually could be $200 to $400 a day. It might be worth adding a hospital indemnity plan to alleviate that concern if somebody's concerned about that copay. That's typically the highest one, is the inpatient hospital stay. And even that has a limit of how many days they can be charged. So at least cover that. Here's what the copays are. You don't have to be afraid of it, because you have it in writing right here, exactly how much those dollar amounts will be. If you still don't like it, understood. But at least we talked it out and we now know what they would be, instead of being afraid. I'll tell you, when I had a neck surgery a few years ago, and I would have been really pumped to be on a Medicare Advantage plan. I'll tell you that, because I'm not, and I had big medical deductibles and big co-insurances, and I was only in the hospital one night. If I had been on a Medicare Advantage plan, that surgery would have cost me $350 for the whole thing. So it's nowhere near the giant elephant in the room that people think. MAPDs are cheaper, so you don't have as many benefits. That's not true at all. Medicare Advantage plans are required to cover everything that Medicare covers. So they have to be at least as good as original Medicare. And I could get into a lengthy story about how Medicare Advantage plans can afford a zero premium and how that makes sense. But when we take people on, we manage their care. I'll talk a little bit more later about managed care and what that means. But just because the premium is cheaper doesn't mean you're giving up anything. You actually get a lot out of it. And that's, again, because we get funding for having you on our books from the federal government. And because they're no longer paying those claims, we are able to provide those extra things. So it's not cheap. More expensive isn't always better. And I think Melissa will be able to talk about that too, because that's absolutely true with Medicare supplements. Just because a med supp is more expensive, definitely does not mean that it's any better. So always important to overcome that one. A lot of people think that. I don't want referrals. Me either. Candidly, I wouldn't want a referral. I had to get them once upon a time. I don't care for them, but most Medicare Advantage plans these days do not require referrals. Even most of Humana's HMOs do not require any sort of referral. Now, there is a positive for referrals. It's that it can keep costs really low because your primary care physician is now quarterbacking your care. And because they have the ability to do that referral process, hospitals sometimes will accept lower payments so we can have better benefits if there's a referral structure in place. So it's not all bad. Having somebody need to make sure their primary care doctor is informed across the board of all of their care means that it is better coordinated. But again, most plans do not require that. No PPO plans require referrals, and most of our HMOs don't either. So not as common in the Medicare Advantage space. If somebody has chronic issues, MedSup or money, I have a personal story here, so I'll try to be short on it. But why spend your money just because you have it? That's a first thought. Just because it goes back to the just because it's more expensive doesn't mean it's better thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about my grandma. She was on a Plan F, and that's what she always had from the moment she turned 65 until she passed. She had a Plan F with the same company that whole time. So you can imagine how high her premium was when she passed a few years ago. She did easily afford it. She could handle those monthly premiums. And but just because she had money and she had a chronic issue, she had COPD, she ended up spending a whole heck of a lot more money than she would have spent on a Medicare Advantage plan because her Plan F was much higher than the cost of the max out of pocket. Also, something that Medicare Advantage plans do that a Medicare Supplement doesn't necessarily do is coordinate care. So she, because of her diagnosis, would have been paired with a care manager. That is a nurse, a social worker, a physician's assistant, nurse practitioner, somebody that works for Humana that's going to reach out routinely to ensure that she is seeing the doctors she needs to see, she's taking the medications she needs to take, help coordinate travel if she needs it. Now, thankfully, my grandma had her family to do that, but not everybody does. You know, we can tell her, hey, you need to go to the doctor for that, but not everybody has a support system that can help coordinate their care like somebody could on a Medicare Advantage plan. So just because somebody has a chronic issue doesn't mean that a supplement's best. Sometimes it might. For her, it was peace of mind. She wanted to stay on that supplement, and I thought so too, because she didn't want to deal with any surprises. So in her case, she ended up spending more, but that's what she wanted to do. That's what was best for her. And then alternatively, just because somebody's low income doesn't mean that Medicare Advantage is best. I know now I'm going kind of the opposite here. Just because somebody doesn't have, unlimited income doesn't mean that they should go into an MA plan, because cost sharing is dependent upon how much they use the plan. They have copays. Those kinds of things, if somebody's on a fixed income, are not always predictable, whereas a Medicare Supplement premium is predictable. You know what it's going to be for at least 12 months. And yeah, you'll have copays for your medications and things, but then you know and you can budget easier. So putting somebody into a box because of their income or their health issues is not what we would want to do. Now I'm going to move into Medicare Supplement. I'm going to do some pros and cons here too. As kind of mentioned, the network is very, very easy on a Medicare Supplement. You don't even have to look. As long as they accept original Medicare, you're golden. Melissa and I have encountered a couple of troublemaker providers who say they don't accept MedSup for whatever reason, but they accept original Medicare, and we've had to work with them to make sure they know that they can't do that. But those are extremely rare occasions. So really, really amazing network. Financial exposure is lessened. So that means you're not ever going to have that big surprise of, uh-oh, I have this giant bill now that I have to try to find a way to fit into my budget. I mentioned on the last slide, it is predictable. You know what you owe every month, then every year you get your increase letter and you budget for that. Now I do have on here, it says, but only in a bad year. You're just because your finances are predictable doesn't mean it's cheaper. So if I have several healthy years, I spent more in that MedSup. If I have the one bad year or a couple of bad years, maybe I'm ahead when I have a MedSup. So just keeping that in mind. But it again is very, very predictable. Lots of flexibility in Medicare Supplement. So we talked about how you can go anywhere, and it's really easy to use. but you can also change your mind later. You know, there's flexibility if you're choosing it at 65 and maybe the premium rises over the years, or there's this really cool new MA plan. You can always try out the MA and you can come on back to Med Sup. So you're not locked in for life. Yes, we know that you can't always get a Med Sup. There's underwriting, and if you decide to apply for a Med Sup down the road, so it's not an always guarantee, but you do have that flexibility that if you choose the Sup first, you can always try Med Advantage later. If you choose Medicare Advantage and you've got it for a time and you decide you want to go to a Sup, now you have underwriting. So that first choice is pretty important. And if you choose Sup at that T65 age, it's, you know, you can always try the Advantage later. A little bit of a con situation here. We know premiums do increase year over year. We talked about that. Especially at Humana, they're very stable. I'm not going to steal Melissa's thunder. I did not do the animations on this slide, so if they're weird, my apologies. The premium on a Medicare supplement can sometimes be more than the cost of that 20%. If you only go to the doctor once in any given month, it may have costed more than, or that premium may have cost more than that doctor visit would have. Even if you don't use it, you still got to pay. So we know Medicare Advantage is you pay as you go versus you have to pay every single month. Again, predictability. So that's not all a bad thing. This is the one that means the most to me. This is why I would choose Medicare Advantage. Is I really like the proactive nature of a managed block of business, meaning we're trying to keep you healthy versus waiting for the problem and just paying the claim. So original Medicare is fee for service. You go to the doctor, the fee gets paid. You go to the doctor, the fee gets paid. There isn't an incentive to say, hey, are you getting that flu shot? Are you going to the doctor every year for your annual wellness visit? Are you doing those things that you need to do to catch things early? So I won't get on my soapbox about why I think that's important, but it is reactive, but it's always going to be there for you. So I guess there's a positive there too. There's always a way to talk around it. It serves as a pickup where Medicare leaves off. I don't think that's a disadvantage at all. I think that's it not being health insurance is why it can be underwritten and Medicare Advantage cannot, is because it's not the primary payer. And I think that's a good thing. So moving on. So let's do just a little bit of math here. If somebody has, and we made nice round numbers here, somebody has a plan G and they're paying $150 a month for it, which is a great price, and they've got to pay for their Part D, of course. You could always, if you really want to go deep, you could add dental or vision, hearing, if they need any of that extra coverage to that, but we're just going to keep it at $175 a month. Multiply that out by 12, that's $2,100 a year, or $4,200 for two people. Most max out of pockets on MA plans are higher than that. So, if you have a bad year, you have several hospital stays, or oxygen or chemo or something, stuff like that, yes, you could pay more than that if you have a bad year. But now if you're thinking over time, if you're thinking over the course of 5 years or 10 years, how much are you paying? We know the plan goes up, we know it gets more expensive over time, but we're keeping the numbers simple here. It over time is really going to add up. And it's important to have that conversation of, your health and what it typically is. We know we're always going to face things that we didn't see coming. But if you look at the discussion, the talking points here, if I told you that in the next 5 years, you'd have $10,000 in copays, you'd be like, well, I don't like that very much. What if you could put that into an account to use for MA premium or MA copays? Would that make sense? Well, yeah, it would. Asking, and I think everybody needs to ask this at every appointment, is, what way would you prefer to manage your health expenses? Do you want to prepay, set it and forget it, and have that predictable cost share, or would you rather, maybe pay nothing more than the cost of your Part B and just pay when you go to the doctor? They're gonna give give you a real thorough answer on that. I know people would always like, I got a lot of, well, I'd rather pay nothing and only pay when I use it. But then you got to get deeper. What if you put that premium into a bank account every month that you would have paid if you bought the G, and let it save up over time? Would you use that for your copays? Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The challenge with that, of course, guess how many people are actually going to do that? Sometimes people have trouble with setting that aside and saving it for those rainy days. So yes, on a Medicare Advantage plan, there could be that time where you pay a lot more than a Medicare supplement, and they should know that. It won't be all the time, but it could be. So that's a little bit of math. I talked earlier about people switching from Medicare Supplement to Medicare Advantage. That it happens a lot. Their Medicare Advantage plans are very enticing. They're very, very marketed. Happens a lot. If it's something that you're seeing somebody start to raise an objection of, man, this plan is getting really expensive. I'm having a hard time affording this, but I don't really know if I want this other thing. If somebody says something to the effect of, oh, I don't pay anything now, I have a Medicare supplement, I don't pay anything. Well, yes, you do. You pay your premium. Alternatively, if they have a Medicare Advantage plan, well, I don't pay anything. Yes, you do. You pay copays. Everybody pays. Nobody gets out of this without paying. What if I get a chronic condition or something big? All Medicare Advantage plans cover that stuff. So do Medicare supplements. Everybody covers it. So it's just a matter of how do you want that covered. I already mentioned the MOOP earlier. If I go to the hospital, I don't want to pay the max out of pocket. You won't. So even a 2-month hospital stay, you're still only paying the hospital copay. It wouldn't be the full max out of pocket. Treated worse in a cheaper plan, we covered that. I want the more expensive plan. I wish I was off mute with Melissa to say, oh yeah, would you pay for the more expensive Med Sup? Because she'd probably laugh and say no. I love how I'm putting words in your mouth, Melissa. And yeah, yeah. Do you want the most expensive Medicare supplement, Melissa?
No, I do not.
No, I do not either. And then I listen for some things like, oh man, my drug plan's getting super high, or this other, my costs are getting too high. It might be time to visit it. But again, even if you're revisiting somebody's Med Sup and it's a higher premium, you got to go through all the negatives of Medicare Advantage before you make the switch. We also do know that people who've never had a Medicare Advantage plan have the trial right. So they can try it out. And if they don't like it within that first 12 months, they can go back to their Medicare supplement. This is my last slide, I'm done, and I think I see a question buzzing in the chat. So just make sure that you have challenged your own bias. You might have a preference, but we try not to foreshadow that as much as we can with our clients. Let them make the decision. You're going to be their strategy person. You're helping them decide their preferences, what they like, what they don't like, how they want their healthcare to work. And we're trying to solve for what makes the most sense for them. I think even challenging some of these objections, instead of just saying, okay, we'll do that, makes sure that they know the full picture rather than just blindly making a decision based on some biases that they've heard. So is there a question, any questions out there that we would want to hit on? I don't see anything.
I have not seen any come in just yet here, Courtney. While we wait for some to come in, I'm going to go ahead and do the process of making Melissa the presenter. And if anything comes in, I'll let you know.
Perfect. I think I might have to do it. So let me stop sharing.
I believe I just switched it over.
Oh, you crushed it. Thank you.
All right. Let me get these up and running. All right. Well, welcome, Courtney. You rocked it. Good job. I know sometimes it's probably hard to talk a little bit about, oh shoot, I've shared from the wrong screen. So we're gonna flip through here. I needed to share from the MedSup screen. So technical difficulty, hold on. Hopefully, let me go here. And
We did have a few questions come in while we were waiting there. So did you get those questions I sent over to you, Courtney?
I do see them. So the first topic is big issue people have with Medicare Advantage is that people think there are more hassles getting things covered. So like prior authorizations, that is absolutely something that Medicare has. Medicare has guidelines for how things are covered, and all MA plans follow Medicare guidelines. However, original Medicare doesn't necessarily have the bandwidth to enforce those, and MA plans do. Prior authorizations are always, at least with Humana, I'll speak Humana only. I'll be specific to what I know. Humana works with a third party, so we don't make those decisions on prior authorizations. The doctor submits them based on what they submit. That goes to the third party vendor. As long as it fits Medicare guidelines, it's approved. I have never had something take more than the 24 to 48 hour window to get approved. If there's ever anything that is really juggled up in the air, that's a good time for you to get the local broker manager involved, but that's an extreme few and far between case. I do think, as far as best way to handle talking about prior authorizations, I think mentioning that people think that the insurance companies are these evil places that want to reject your claims, and you see lawsuits out there and things like that. Grain of salt on that, because now all of them, or at least Humana does, works with a third party and strictly adheres to Medicare guidelines. If you take Medicare Advantage and you stay on it for more than a year, are you obligated to keep it? There are certain times a year you can get out of a Medicare Advantage plan. So if you have an SEP to enroll in a PDP, you can get out of it and into a MedSup. Just make sure the SUP issues before you do that. You want to make sure that underwritten supplement is in place before you make that decision. Of course, OEP is a time of year you can get out of Advantage plans, and then AEP as well. So there are a lot of times during the course of a year that you can get out of a Medicare Advantage plan and enroll in the Medicare Supplement. Some MA commercials talk about how they can refund Social Security. So there are absolutely Medicare Advantage plans that have a Part B reduction, or called a Part B give back, and it reduces the cost of the Part B premium. So I'm in Iowa, we have an MAPD plan that has an $84 Part B give back. So that just lowers the cost of somebody's Part B. Some states like Florida have the full Part B give back. It gives them everything. If somebody doesn't owe their Part B, and I'm getting down the weeds and I'm going to try to stop it, please, if you don't get to your question, if you could send it over to our Jetter and Company, very happy to get as weedy as you want. But there are situations where somebody wouldn't get it back, like if they have Medicaid, because they don't pay their Part B. If you switch to an MA from a MedSup at any time, or do they have to make the change in the fall? Typically, they do make the change in the fall unless they have a special election window that would allow them to enroll in the MA. If I have a MedSup for 3 years and I choose MA, can I go back to the original Medicare? Yes. So if, let's say you've had a MedSup for 10 years even, and you try out an MA plan and you decide, man, this is not it for me. As long as you're within the first 12 months, you would use the trial right to go back to the MedSup you had and enroll in a PDP. I think I got to most or all of the questions. If I didn't, please don't hesitate to email me. I won't take up any more of Melissa's time.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, everyone, for being on the line today. My name is Melissa Gwinnap. I am the Director of Medicare Supplement Channel Development. So as you guys know, Humana obviously is a big Medicare Advantage company. And recently, as Courtney kind of said, we've pivoted a little bit. And our MedSup growth is just taking off like crazy. So again, appreciate all of you being on the line. All plans, as far as Medicare Supplement go, we all know they're federally mandated and they're all the same, right? It's all the same plans. However, carriers are not the same. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But I think the word of the day is educate, right? You have to have every single plan on your per se menu. Not every single size is going to fit one person. So make sure that you have Med Advantage on your menu. You have Medicare Supplement on your menu. You have PDP on your menu, hospital indemnities, dental plans. Make sure that you have everything on your menu so you as the agent can be the one-stop shop for your client. The thing about Medicare Supplement, you can sell it anytime throughout the year. So if somebody is on a carrier, they're not loving their rate increase, as long as they are healthy, there are no restrictions when they can move from Medicare Supplement to Medicare Supplement. You can sell that across the board all year long. None of us have a crystal ball, right? So some people would prefer, as far as we go, is Medicare Supplement, right? And why do they prefer Medicare Supplements? They don't want their plans to change every year. As we know, Medicare Advantage plans sometimes change every year. Maybe this is a client who doesn't want to have to worry about that. Again, they don't want restrictions. They don't want any of those referrals. But mostly they like it because it's guaranteed renewable. As long as they pay their premium, there is nothing they have to do with their policy at all. And the biggest thing I think we see is clients who pick Medicare Supplement, they don't want any surprises, right? They don't want to get sick, or they don't want to be diagnosed with cancer and have a surprise of, having to pay the Part B chemo treatment or anything like that and hit that maximum out of pocket. They just simply don't want any surprises. But again, not saying that Medicare Advantage isn't good, but again, just make sure that you have Medicare Supplement in your back pocket as well, on your menu. So important to talk about both. Make sure you go through each plan in detail, educate the client picks what they want, right? So just a little bit of information about Humana and what we kind of offer as far as our Medicare supplements go. Now, claims are going to be a little bit different. Oh, my computer's slow. I'm like, I swear I hit change. So Medicare supplements are a little bit different as far as claims go. So what's going to happen is if your client has a Medicare supplement policy, they need to go to the doctor, they need to go to the hospital, have an MRI, physical therapy. They are going to hand them their Medicare card and also their Humana Medicare Supplement card. What happens at that point, the provider goes ahead and submits Medicare. They go ahead and submit that claim to Medicare. And then what Medicare does is they're going to electronically send it over to Humana. So the provider doesn't have to touch that. And as Courtney kind of mentioned, we've had some lovely facilities that have been a little bit difficult recently in saying that they don't accept Humana Medicare supplements. That is absolutely not true. They do have to accept Medicare supplements no matter what, and it's not even a choice for them because they're not even the ones who have to bill us. It is going to come directly from Medicare, so that is something good to know. But really, here's some differentiators as far as Medicare supplement carriers go. Like I said, all of the plans are federally mandated. Every plan has to be, approved by the state. The only difference is different carriers can charge different premiums. One of my very first things that I always want to talk about is just because a premium is cheapest today, and I'm only saying this is because I've been doing this I'm kind of new at it. Just kidding. I've been in the industry for almost 25 years, but I have trained multiple agents. And what I hear a lot is, well, I just sell the cheapest product that comes up on CSG or whatever quoting system you use. Okay, don't do that. Make sure you're looking at a carrier and you're looking at their rate stability. Each carrier can provide you with what their rate stability looks like. Just because a no-name company is the cheapest today, it doesn't mean in 6 months to a year it's going to be the cheapest policy. Make sure you are looking for rate stability, okay? Household discounts. This is important. Make sure you choose a plan that has a household discount. On our Achieve product, which I'll show you the couple differences between our traditional offering and our Achieve offering, we have a 12% enhanced household discount. If you fall in one of those states, all the client has to do is live with another person over the age of 18 and they automatically qualify. That person does not need to apply. On our traditional, we've got 12%, 5%, 3% household discounts. Again, depends on the state. Now keep in mind, each state is different, so make sure that you know what state you're selling in, super important for that. And then also here at Humana, we offer a $2 discount for any clients who do auto withdraw through their bank account or even on their credit card. That's actually unheard of. I came from a competitor where I was for years, and they actually charge more if a client uses a credit card. So again, we kind of talked about competitive premiums already. You know, make sure you're checking rate stability. One thing I want you guys to know is you're probably going to see a little bit higher than normal rate increases this year nationally. It's all due to, you know, catch up from COVID. No one went to the doctor and now everyone's going to the doctor. Also at Humana on our Medicare Supplement policy, we have no application fees, no policy fees. We're saving your client. We've got real-time underwriting. So if you have a client who comes in with underwriting, you know, they need underwriting, we do a real-time shoot them through. Right now, we're sitting at about 10 to 20% automatically get approved. We're really trying and pushing for 60 to 70. This is a new process that Humana just brought on in November. Also, guys, compensation is important, right? None of us do this for free. We've got competitive comp, and then also we've got some industry-leading bonuses. So I'll make sure to show you those too. Really quick, our footprint is national. We are in every single state, okay? So we have a national footprint. We have a Medicare supplement available no matter where your client lives. Now, make sure you know where your client lives, what policies are available there, and then obviously make sure you quote them the correct one. So obviously our traditional is on all the states that are blue, the gray, and the purple or pink or whatever that is. So again, all of the states are there. Our Achieve, this is our newest product. From now on, when you see any refreshes done by Humana or new states that roll out, it will be the Achieve product. We're going to kind of sunset that traditional one and bring out the Achieve in more states. This year, we're slated to bring on 2 to 3 new states. I don't know what states those are yet. Obviously, make sure that you stay tuned. You probably get emails from us. Just stay tuned and make sure that you're watching that. Now, the only difference between traditional and Achieve, obviously, is the household discounts and maybe what the premiums look like. But something that's also important to make sure you look for when you're choosing a Medicare supplement, if your client wants a Medicare supplement, make sure you look for a company that's got some value-added services. So at no cost to your client, included in their policy, if they have a traditional plan, we have Silver Sneakers. So Silver Sneakers is the gym membership. Now on the Achieve product, Silver Sneakers is not added. Now we also have some discounts on hearing and vision services, the Lifeline systems. If you have a client who has a Humana Medicare supplement, they have to go into the hospital. Once they're discharged, we will provide 14 meals for them after discharge. That's massive. Also, we've got a nurse advice line. So it offers 24-hour health information. Maybe they're not feeling the best and they just want to give someone a call. This is all included in the client's plan with Humana at no additional cost. Really quick, I know some days we probably feel like we do this job for free, right? I get it. I know how it is. Been an agent, been there, done that. So besides your commission right now, Humana is paying a very nice bonus, okay? If you are writing between the 1st of the year and March 31st, we're going to pay you $300 per application if it's underwritten. So that's somebody who's probably changing from one med sup to another, or maybe they were in a Medicare Advantage plan and they've already did their free 1-year look where they can switch. Then, you know, maybe they have to go through underwriting. You're going to get paid the $300. Also, if you have somebody going in new into Medicare, so maybe just turning 65 or just going in on Medicare during their open enrollment, we will pay you $100 per application. Again, the sky is the limit. There is no maximum. Number one policy starts the payout. The policies do have to be active for 60 days before we pay that. Just some tips and tricks. So like I said, the plans are all the same. They're federally mandated. The carriers are not the same, okay? So with Humana, something that I always like to make sure that all of the agents know is we will never give your client more than one rate increase every 12 months, okay? So if we're gonna do a rate increase, it will only be one time, and that is on their anniversary. So agents, you don't have to worry about talking to your client why they got another rate increase and it's just been 6 months, okay? Also, if they answer yes to a health question on our Medicare Supplement policy, don't be afraid to submit that. That's not an automatic decline. Go ahead and send that through, okay? Send it through to our underwriting team because we will look at it. That's important. Also, commissions. If you're on advance, we do 12 months in advance commission and we don't charge you any interest. I know a lot of our competitor carriers charge interest when you're on advance. But again, I just cannot stress enough, make sure you have all of these products on your menu. Educate your client. I promise you, your client will help decide what is best for them. I'm not saying Medicare Advantage isn't good. I'm not saying Medicare Supplement is good. I'm saying we are the educators and we need to help our clients understand, most importantly. As we know, some of those commercials on TV are very misleading. Make sure that your clients are, you're educating them. That's the most important thing. That is really all I have. Power of choice, right? Medicare Supplement is power of a choice. Are there any questions? Looks like maybe there's one. Or maybe that was for Courtney. Yeah, that was for Courtney.
Did you see those come in?
Are you talking about in the chat?
It's in the questions box.
Okay.
I can read them off as well.
Nope, I can go look. I'll go look for it here. Okay, let's look and see. I'm gonna make it a little bigger so I can see it. How is Medicare Supplement underwriting? Is it hard to change? So I'm going to be really honest with you. Humana is about middle of the road. So we don't decline a whole lot, but obviously, most of your carriers, if somebody has COPD, rheumatoid arthritis, dementia, Alzheimer's, we're looking for major things. And unfortunately, if somebody's got those major things, they're probably going to be declined, okay? So again, it's not super hard, but it's not simple either. I would say Humana is middle of the road, okay? You do not need to be certified in Medicare Supplement at all. All you have to do is have your health license, get with Art Jetter, get appointed with Humana, you can sell our Medicare Supplement product. It's not like Medicare Advantage where you have to do your AHIP certification and then all of your other certifications. This is simply a health license, get appointed with the company, and boom, you can offer it, okay? The supplemental value added benefits, I went through that, but what those added benefits are, and I'm actually going to go back to that slide so you can kind of see them. So what the added benefits are in the traditional plan. Now that plan is in every single state. We have Silver Sneakers, which is your gym membership. Just to give you an idea of how many people actually use Silver Sneakers, it is less than 2%. Okay, so less than 2% really use that gym membership. So that is not on our new product, the Achieve. It is on traditional. The other added benefit is the discount. So it's through True Hearing, and then we have vision services. There's some prescription discounts. There's a lifeline system. And then if the client goes overnight in the hospital, we'll provide 14 meals to that client. And then we have the nurse advisory line. So if someone's not feeling so well, automatically included in their Humana plan is also the nurse advice line. So again, not all carriers are the same, right? Make sure you're looking for rate stability. Make sure you're looking for extra value added services. Make sure that you're just not selling the cheapest competitor out there, because I promise you, the cheapest policy today will not be the cheapest policy in 6 months, okay? Does an agent have to be certified to sell Part D coverage? Yes, you do. Yeah, Part D is different than the Medicare Supplement. So Medicare Supplement, you need the health license. You can sell MedSup anytime throughout the year. No additional courses you have to take. Guys, by the way, not sure where you're all located, but Medicare supplements are huge in our rural areas for the simple fact of networks. Okay. And I know that there's probably going to be some disruption at some point as far as networks go with Medicare Advantage. So just be aware of that. It's probably something we're foreseeing out, a few years out. But again, none of us have crystal balls. So just make sure that you provide every single policy to your client and let them help, decide what they want. All right. Is there anything else? I think we did a good job on time.
I think we did a great job on time. Plenty of knowledge and didn't take up too much of these agents' time. I do want to let everybody know about our AHIP reimbursement. I know a lot of you agents are going to be new to Medicare Advantage. If you do your AHIP through Art Jetter and Company or one of the carriers, you can get a $50 discount. And then with that being said, we reimburse $125 of that AHIP when you write 1 Medicare Advantage or 3 prescription drug plans. So something for the agents to take advantage of there. There is a couple more questions that came in here. I'm going to send them over to you here, Melissa.
Awesome.
Great job, by the way. Great job to Melissa.
Thank you.
Great
Appreciate
job
it.
to Courtney. Wonderful webinar. Thank you very much.
So the question is, there used to be a Part D workaround that didn't require certification, Silver Script. Is this no longer available? I am not sure on that. Are you? Do you know on that, Colin?
I am rereading. I was reading other questions here. One moment.
Nope.
So I kind of have an idea. It is a competitive carrier, so I'm not going to mention it here. If you could reach out to your senior health specialist, they will have a better answer for you. But like I said, with it being a competitive carrier, I don't want to mention it on this webinar.
You're awesome. And then Arlen's asking if there is a one-page brochure difference on Medicare Supplement versus Medicare Advantage. If you're appointed with Humana, you have access to Vantage, which is our agent website. It's simply humana.com. Arlen, I am not sure if that is out there, but I will definitely look. And is it cool if I follow up with you, Colin, in regards to that?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah, because I'm not really sure, but great question. And what a great brochure that would be. And maybe if there isn't one, we can have our marketing team make one. So, all right. If a current customer has MedSup or MA with another agent, how can they move their policy into my agency? So if they want you, Dina, to be their agent, what you're going to have to do is, at least I can speak on the MedSup side, you're going to have to rewrite that policy, because we have agent of record where we protect you as the agent. So if that's the case, you would have to rewrite that client. Hopefully that makes sense. And then someone said, I believe that is a referral. I'm not sure what we're talking about. Jean, can you, if that's something for me, if you wouldn't mind giving a little bit more information? Not sure what you mean on that.
It looks like that was for the Part D question.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah, we'll have them reach out to
awesome.
one of the health specialists for that one.
Awesome.
I think that,
and then what we can do too is we can share our slides from today, or I actually think you have them. If you want to pass them out to everybody, please feel free to do that, okay?
Yes. Yeah, if anybody needs these slides, please reach out to us. We also do have the webinar recording. So if anybody wants the recording, reach out to your senior health specialist. We will get that out to you. If there is any questions that we didn't get to, again, please reach out to your senior health specialist. We'll answer all of your questions. Do not hesitate. We are here to help you. So with that being said, I will wrap it up. And thank you so much for being here. It was a great webinar.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you guys. Have a great day. If you guys need anything from us here at Humana, please also don't hesitate to reach out. And obviously, your manager at Art Jetter will contact us as well. So thanks again. Have a great rest of your week.
Yes, thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.